Welcome back to the channel, people. If you're watching this after the fact, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're watching this on Rumble, jump over to my YouTube channel at HoldenOfficial1, all lowercase. You can actually find the link to that probably in the description of my Rumble. If you're watching this on YouTube, head over to my Rumble. You can find the link for that in the description. Make sure to share, copy link to clipboard, send to your friend on Facebook, Messenger, or whatnot. I'll be talking about Jordan Peterson. I'm just outside the SSE arena in Belfast. Jordan Peterson's doing a live talk tonight. I'm going to be recording some of the footage in the SSE arena. It's not sold out, so if anybody from the Belfast area wants to come and you see this, 7:30 tonight, 7:30 p.m. SSE Arena, Belfast. I've just pulled up a wee bit early just to see if we can get any footage of the whack job protesters that are going to be showing up protesting against Jordan Peterson. Some of the activists want to get a bit of footage. There's a lot of people here, all different types of people. Don't know if they're here for Jordan Peterson though. So yeah, just thought I'd just do a wee bit of a live. This is live on Rumble, Twitter, now called X, and YouTube. Apologies to my followers on Rumble. For some reason, whatever, I can't share your comments to the screen. It doesn't even come up that you're watching. I only find out afterwards that there was like 30 people watching me live. I can't even see it. It doesn't register on StreamYard for some reason. Maybe it's because it's a custom RTMP. You're going to have to, StreamYard are going to have to sort that out. Because there's plenty of other streaming platforms for me. I might jump over to Streamlabs. They're good. I can use my phone for that too. So if StreamYard don't sort that out, then I gotta go. Arsenal, what's the crack, mate? Gazzy, nice one, bud. Here, thanks for joining the live, mate. I appreciate that as always. As I say, I'm gonna be shooting a bit of footage with Dr. Jordan Peterson. He's in Belfast today. He's going to be doing a live chat. I actually know the hotel he's in. I was going to drive there, but I didn't want to be a creep. I didn't want to show up and just be sitting while he's eating his breakfast. Hello, Mr. Peterson. Can I get an autograph? It is what it is. But I've got my ways. Put it this way, I've got my ways. I know a few people in the SSE arena that might be able to sneak me through the back, But the ticket cost me 75 quid, so he better be good. I don't know how much this parking's going to cost me too. This parking's going to cost me a bomb here, like. Probably was £15 on parking just to sit here. Well, as I say, if anybody wants to go, what the fuck's going on here? I've got a number ringing me. Apologies. Going to have to take this off. Or link off. Sorry about that. But if anybody wants to go, there's still tickets left at the SSE. If you want to go see him. Cheers, mate. Cheers, guys. I appreciate that, mate. I don't really have a style, to be honest with you. I'm pretty random, like. Sometimes I'll put out like a load of shorts from a channel, and then some other times I'll put out like a load of long format videos. Sometimes things are just boring. The word's just boring. There's nothing to talk about. Like, I was speaking about the whole Philip Schofield stuff for ages, and then it just got boring because people were just ripping the bag out of it for content. There's not much more you could say about the guy. Like, I was going to make a few more videos on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but man, it's a tricky one. That, like, you don't want to be getting things wrong. I mean, I literally don't have a script. I don't. Do you know what I mean? People were saying to me, like, there's good channels that you should be following, the likes of Adrian Allen. Like, he's got everything scripted. He's like a radio presenter. I speak to him away from YouTube. He's a good guy. I've learned a lot from Adrian Allen. But personally, myself, I don't think I could stick to a script. It has to be just free flowing with me. It can't be like it can't be anything I do can't be scripted apart from doing my wee videos that I do on things. But YouTube's gone, guys. YouTube doesn't even exist anymore for the simple fact that, see, if you're coming onto YouTube now, you used to be able to drop a video and you can get the views with it. But see now, the only way you're getting views is with short videos. Long format videos aren't being promoted. So if I'm putting stuff up onto YouTube, it's not being seen. Do you know what I mean? I remember there was a friend of mine had a YouTube channel years ago, and he only started, and within 2-3 weeks, he was able to build up an audience of 200-300 people in his live chat, and he only had 1,000 subscriptions. You know what I mean? See now, you could have. I've just hit 7,000 subscribers. Most of them tell me on Instagram, well, not all 7,000 of them, but most of them that I speak to tell me that they don't get notifications from my stuff. So, do you know what I mean? The way YouTube's working these days, if you're not in the drama, then they're not going to promote you. It's just about drama, negativity, wrongings left, right, and center. So listen, it is what it is. I don't care. I always said this. I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever. Like, I enjoy doing stuff like this, like going up, hearing people speak like Jordan Peterson, recording it, editing it, and then putting it onto my channel. But yeah, man, and I'm glad you enjoy my content. There's a lot of good people's walked away from YouTube too. Like, there was a lot of people that subscribed to my channel that says, look, Ronan, we can't watch YouTube anymore because of the way things are going. Because of the dark side of YouTube, we can't watch it, we can't go near it, we can't, it's absolutely destroyed our heads. We can't watch YouTube anymore, which is a pity, because I enjoyed them coming over to my channel. But each to their own. You have to protect your mental health, and see the things that are going on YouTube at the minute. It's disgraceful, like. And those channels get promoted. Those channels get promoted, but other channels, like good, decent channels that are trying to do things a bit different, they won't get promoted, because it's all about, they just promote horribleness. People being horrible to one another, and I just, it's not me. It's ramping up now. There's lots of people showing up here early, like. As I say, I'm here to see the whack jobs, right? I'm here to see Dr. Jordan Peterson, but I'm here to see the whack jobs because I got a bit of a tip off that there's going to be like a crowd of like protesters protesting outside the SSE. So hopefully I get speaking to a few of them. There might be a riot, a ruckus, who knows? I'll just be stuck in the middle of it, recording absolutely everything that I can get, like. But it's the same anywhere that Jordan Peterson goes, right? Like, I disagree with him with his Israeli tweet, him supporting Israel. Completely 100% disagree with that. But they're calling him a Nazi. So how can you call Jordan Peterson a Nazi? Sure, the man's just put out a tweet in support of Israel for the Jews. How can you call him a Nazi? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. These people, these arguments that people throw at Jordan Peterson, I just don't understand it. Okay, fair enough. You're a trans activist. You think Jordan Peterson hates you. I don't even think Jordan Peterson hates trans people. He's just saying, I don't want you to change the law, so I can't call you biologically what you are. Once you change the law, they can change the law with everything. You can't speak bad about your government. You can't speak bad about all these protected characteristics. It's wrong. It's 100% wrong. So, of course, even though I disagree with Jordan Peterson on a few things, of course I'm going to spend my money. I spent a bit extra to get to see him closer. So, of course I'm going to go and support him, because I'm an advocate for free speech, whether you're left wing or right wing. Without free speech, nothing exists. We'll have to be able to speak. Otherwise, what sort of a place do we live in? We don't live in a good world if we can't speak.
And what you've got is you've got these, do you know what I'm going to have to say it, right? There's a lot of people on my side of things, on the nationalist sort of Republican side of things, that have made organizations like IRA for the trans movement. Like, do people even realize that the Irish fighting for their civil rights was completely fucking different from trans people fighting to change the law so they make it illegal for anybody to misgender them? There's a complete difference between misgendering somebody, right, and fighting for your rights for on whatever country you live in. Fighting for your rights is essential. You don't fight for your rights, you're next minute, you're starving, and it's a complete imbalance. These trans activists are whack jobs. I know a lot of trans people. I know a lot of people from the trans community that are good, decent people that don't have anything to do with this. This isn't to do with trans people. It's the trans activists that have been that the that they've infiltrated the LGBTQ and are absolutely destroying, and I mean absolutely destroying, the political system in most countries. Like over here, imagine having the IRA for the trans movement. Do you think the IRA, the Irish Republican Army that fought for the civil rights of the Irish people when they were being persecuted against the British, do you think in their head, oh, in, I don't know, 40 years' time, we're going to be fighting for trans rights? Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, seriously. Do you know, it's just they're trying to be militant. They want to be militant. They want to have a force behind them, as if, oh, we're gonna take over. We're gonna tell you how it's done. They're communists, man, 100%. Most of these people, not all the trans, I'm not saying all, a very, very small minority of them are just, they pretend that they're in this trans community, but they're fucking communists. And a lot of people will say, well, Sinn Féin has commie things. Well, that's true, but not all of them are communists. There's commie ideas in the DUP too. Do you know what I mean, guys? That's what I'm trying to say, mate. Like, if I come up here today, right, and there's protesters out here, right, people with balaclavas on, Antifa, wearing the fucking uniform that the people wore to fight against the British, and they're using that uniform saying it's for the trans activists, I have to call that shit out. Like, I have to say, hold on here. Under no circumstances does the fucking Irish Republican Army align themselves with the fucking trans movement. Use whack jobs. You're just looking, because you see, it's fighting against the man, but there's a difference between our trans people in Ireland. Is at 4 o'clock in the morning, is the army showing up at your door, ripping your whole family out, putting a gun to the back of your head while they tear your house apart? If they're not doing that, then you shouldn't be aligning yourself with the IRA. They're the stupidest people I've ever met in my life. It actually makes me angry because, my family are nationalists. Some of my family are Republican. I've got friends whose family are loyalist and unionist, and we all get on in harmony, and there's none of that bollocks anymore, and they're trying to bring this shit back. Imagine somebody coming out with the UVF for trans. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, what are you doing with your life? 100%. No, I get that. Listen, Jimmy, I get that. I get that. It's 100% a whole pyramid thing. I get that, but I always thought about this, right? Why is Jordan Peterson coming to Belfast instead of London, instead of Manchester, instead of all? Because here is probably in the top 3 most political places on planet Earth. I would say, 100%. Yes, mate. I'm good, GB. You're Garth. Okay, I'm going to call you Garth. I forgot that you were Garth the other day. I'm just up here, GB, at the Jordan Peterson. He's doing a little speech, not a speech. He's doing like one of his talks, promoting his book in the SSE arena. Thought I would do a bit of a live, like. I know I've got a few viewers on Rumble. I've probably got double the viewers on Rumble. I've got 120 followers on Rumble, and I get nearly twice as many views live than I do on YouTube. How does that work out? they're just who's gangsters, mate? Who you talking about? Jimmy, what's the crack, mate? I'm well. No, I was just saying there. I'm outside the SSE arena. I'm going in at 7:30 to hear Jordan Peterson speak live at the SSE. So I just thought I'd come a bit earlier, get a good parking space, get a bit of water into me, and then hopefully the whack jobs show up, Jimmy, the trans activists that are going to show up, and anybody that supports Jordan Peterson, they're going to probably call us all Nazis, call us all, the worst names possible. But listen, I'll let them. I don't give a fuck. I'll just record them and just make them go viral. I want them to say nasty shit to me. It'd be great. It's great content. I'll fuck off, Jimmy. Who is Jordan Peterson? He say that. Jimmy, I'm going to have words with you, mate, behind the scenes. Who's Jordan Peterson? He's the guy that single-handedly has destroyed woke culture all around the West. I can't believe you don't know that. See if you ever come to Ireland, Jimmy, you're getting a slap and that's it. I hope he's taking questions. Like I've got a few things to say to him, especially on the Israeli-Palestinian front. Like he's went heavily in for siding with the Israelis. And listen, fair enough, I get that. Israel, there's good people in Israel. I was speaking to a Jewish guy the other day that lived in Israel for 7 years, and he totally 100% supports the freedom of the Palestinian people. And he says, look, we've done terrible things to the Palestinians, his government. He goes, but you have to understand, Israel is going through a bit of a civil war at the minute, and he feels that what do you call the leader of Israel, Netanyahu or something? I forget. I can't pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him the prime minister. There was going to be a civil war. He was going to get thrown out, and then this happened. And this Jewish guy believes that the prime minister has allowed the attack. Because he says, if you're ever in Israel, it is the most heavily armed place on the planet. It's a fortress. It's an absolute fortress. He says, so for Hamas to get in, it would have had to have been an inside job at the very least. So there's a conspiracy involved here. But he believes that the prime minister has told his troops to stand down and allow the attack. So then, whenever they attack, the prime minister orders the attack back, and then it creates this sense of patriotism, and then he stays in power because apparently, allegedly, there was a bit of a civil war going on, and this has actually helped him in a way. And I'm not going to say this guy's name because he says, like, there's some stuff that he wouldn't want publicized, but he says, like, that guy, the leader of Israel, is an absolute psychopath, like a proper absolute psychopath. So, and listen, Hamas is, let's call a spade here. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They're connected to ISIS, and they have done really, really terrible things. But the Palestinian people have elected basically ISIS, Hamas as their governing body. And then once they were elected, Hamas abolished democracy and made it a tyrannical system. So you have Israel with the foot on the back of the neck of the decent Palestinians. And then you have Hamas that are also a tyrannical force with their foot on the Palestinians also. So the way I see that, it's evil against evil. So for Dr. Jordan Peterson to come out and side one way with that, without even recognizing the past 75 years of oppression on the Palestinian people, Christians and Muslims, man, it tells me that he's smart, he's an intelligent guy, but he's probably emotionally immature to even, he shouldn't have said anything. Why would you do that? Because you interviewed the Prime Minister of Israel, so you feel like you've got an allegiance to him because you spoke to him. Well, recognize that the Israelis have been persecuting against the Palestinians for over 75 years. It's a whole ethnic cleansing that's going on at the minute, and nobody seems to give a fuck because nobody wants to stand up to the Jewish community because of the Holocaust. the Holocaust was terrible, but if the Jewish community in Israel do terrible things, you have to call it out. You can't be afraid, because that just makes you a bitch. Do you know what I mean? It makes you a bitch. Is America a bitch? Is Britain a bitch? Is Ireland a bitch? Are we all just bitches? Owned by the fucking banks? Come stand up, grab your balls, and say, look, man, fair enough. The Holocaust was terrible. It shouldn't have happened to you, but doing a similar thing to the Palestinian people doesn't make this right. And you shouldn't be trying to ethnically cleanse your fucking country and the Palestinian people, moving them out of their house, spitting on them, treating them like dogs, second-class citizens. But then the Palestinian people, I think the only reason the Palestinian people elected Hamas was because they needed a force to be reckoned with, because they understood that Israel was a force to be reckoned with. So they needed a force to fight them, but they didn't realize that Hamas is more tyrannical than Israel. You've got two tyrannical forces, Israel and Hamas. It's evil against evil. And right now you've got Jews, Muslims, and Christians all dying in between, while these psychopaths who run the world just obliterate everything. They're trying to start World War III. They're trying to start World War III. And here's another one, right? I'm going to just give you my opinion on this, right? I'm not looking at the chat just yet. Right? You've got Joe Biden leaving billions of dollars worth of military equipment in the Middle East, which Hamas are using, by the way. So you could say Hamas is attacking Israel with American weapons, right? And then after that, you have the Ukrainian-Russian war starting. So Putin tries to goes to invade Ukraine, and now this. So technically we are in a state of world war, because you've got China gearing up against America, right? You've got China taking over Taiwan at the minute. They won't even recognize that as a country. So this is a world war. This is the start of a world war. And it's all done and all ran by the psychopaths, the absolute psychopaths that run this world. Do you think at the top of the pyramid, you've got these billionaires, like trillionaires like BlackRock, Saudi Arabia, all these different entities? These people control all of that. They control all the wars, and America promotes all this shit. America has basically armed Hamas to target Israel. And then the Israeli president allowed them in because he knows that there was a civil war and this is going to benefit him, right? So this is all a fucking game. This is a chess game, and they're all playing at it. But guess what? There's people in the middle dying, bombs going off, children. Israel blew up a fucking lorry full of people, innocent civilians, killed 75 people. How is that okay? But it's okay. It's not. It's Israel. Let them do what they want. Pack of psychopaths. They're all psychopaths. You're right, Arsenal, and I'm still from the standpoint free Palestine, but also free Palestine from Hamas. Hamas is also a tyrannical dictatorship, just like Israel. And, let's not get religious about this, but you would say that this is the holy war, because look where it's happening. If there's any a time where you would say that this is the end times, you would say it's now. Do you know what I mean? Net in your hue. Netanyahu. Netanyahu. Is that how you say it? Listen, I'm just going to call him the Prime Minister. I couldn't give a fuck what you call him. He looks like an evil cunt. He looks like the type of fella that if you left a fiver around, he's putting in his back pocket. That's what he looks like. I wouldn't trust that fella. And the only reason that Jordan Peterson sort of backed him, because Peterson interviewed him. Peterson's not a fucking Zionist. Peterson's none of the, if he looks, follow the money. Who's promoting the woke culture? Who's infiltrating the schools? Follow the money and you'll find that it all leads back to the fucking Zionists. Not the good Jewish people, the horrible cunts that are trying to destroy the West. George Soros, my God, I can't keep speaking about him enough. A man that sold out his own people during World War II. He was quoted saying, "I enjoyed doing it." He was a child that got that was a bait. He was the bait. He went out into the street crying as a child that, I'm a Jew. I need somewhere to go. I need somewhere to stay. And then he would go into the house of these Jewish people, and then he would give away the location to where these families lived, and those families were exterminated. And he calls himself a Jewish man. That man is a disgrace. He is evil, and he's promoting the woke culture because he listened to Hitler and he understood what Hitler was doing, trying to corrode the West from the inside out. And that's what Hitler tried to do. And he was a very good propagandist, was Hitler. And so was George Soros, and he's promoting the woke culture. And Peterson wants to back people like that are promoting the woke culture. Do you know what I mean? All this, I'm not saying I'm right, it could be wrong, but it is what it is. Palestine needs freed. Palestine, Israel is the Holy Land. I understand that that's where, but nothing against Israel. I really don't, right? But I'm seeing the propaganda that the IDF has got a YouTube channel. I was going to do a whole breakdown of this. They've got a YouTube channel, right? And the military guy, the lead guy of the military goes, "Before we watch this video and I break down our counterattack against Hamas, make sure you like the video, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Leave a comment and tell me what you think. We will reply to comments whenever we can." I'm thinking, mate, your fucking country's in war. What are you doing making YouTube videos for? Propaganda. Propaganda. Do you know what I mean? And then a day later, that same fella gives the order to wipe out 75 civilians with a missile. Come on the fuck here, like. Okay, the rest of the world, England and Ireland, are well coerced in the art of war because we know what it is. But the rest of the world are just fucking knuckle draggers. Oh, we support this, we support that. Support none of these cunts. Israel, do not support them. Hamas, do not support them. These are radical. These are radical, organized religious entities that do not give one fuck about anybody but themselves, and they will kill each other, and they will nuke each other, and they will absolutely destroy everybody that gets in their way. And that's what you're seeing now. If I was a Palestinian right now, right, I wouldn't want to be in that country, but you have to fight. You have to fight. You have to denounce Hamas, and you have to denounce Israel, and you have to say, look, let's do this in a democratic way. No bombs, no shooting, no killing. Let's do this in a democratic way. Completely denounce Hamas. I'm going to have to keep saying that over and over, Garth. No, he's against woke culture, mate. He's against woke culture. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. Research him. Type in watch Jordan Peterson destroys Kathy Newman and have a laugh at that, because he completely destroys a radical feminist that has whack job ideas. He absolutely destroyed her in an interview. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Like, problem is, it is Islam versus Israel, not Palestine versus Israel. Yeah, Jihad made it clear they want to own the world, not just Israel. Yeah, and if you think about it, Hamas, the way they think about it is that if we get Israel, which they don't have a hope of getting, by the way, if we get Israel, then that's one step. That's a statement that we can take over not a Western structure because it's Middle East, but we can take over a sort of, this is the starting point of takeover. We're already seeing it with other Islamic groups. They're absolutely dismantling all like what Christianity done when they went into the South America and just burnt anything that wasn't Christian. Radical Islamists are burning and destroying anything that isn't Islamic. And this is some of the greatest art that's ever been, created, and they're just burning it because it doesn't represent Islam. And there's Muslims that go, fuck, we don't want to live like this. We don't want to be living around this. We just worship Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad. We don't want to be living in a world where, if you speak to any decent Muslim from England, I get on with them. They're the only people I can get on with. And they're all decent sound people that love England. They don't want to destroy it. They're there for a good reason. So, they also need to stand up and be accounted for and say, look, we don't want this. We completely denounce radical Islam, and we're just here as normal Muslims. It's like saying every Protestant's in the UVF, every Englishman's in the UVF, and every Irishman is in the IRA. A very small minority of them are. Do you know what I mean? The problem is the Israelis, who are backed by Iran, want the Palestinians aligning themselves with Saudi, who are connected to Russia and China. Well, there you go. That's what I mean, Garth. Think about that, what you've just said. Do you know what I mean? Look at that. Look at the connections. Follow the money and follow the connections. Now, look, I think Donald Trump's going to win the election. And I think Iran's going to put their tail between their legs and shut the fuck up, because they know what's coming. Joe Biden's weak. The deep state is running America right now. The deep state always runs America, but whenever Trump's in, they lose maybe about an extra 10%. He has the ability to send a rocket to Iran like he did. But then I speak to a lot of Iranians, decent, good Iranians. I spoke to one Iranian that says, like, they don't want to be involved in any of this. It's their government. They can't even. I interviewed an Iranian for my channel who lives in the hottest place on planet Earth. He's a tour guide. You can just type in Holden Official hottest place on planet Earth. They'd only done, this was last year, done 100 views. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, it was an interesting one, and he's a nice guy, and he couldn't criticize his country because of fear that something bad was going to happen to him, because it was round about the time they executed that wrestler for speaking out for the Iranian rights, and they executed him on the street. And he was going to the UFC. He was fighting. He was competing in some big organization. So this is what they do. It's a tyrannical force, And then you've got Iran linking up with, want the Palestinians linked up with them. But that's because then Hamas has that fully, and once they have that full support of the Palestinians, then they can go for Israel, which they're never going to get. This is the start of World War III. And it's been pushed by America. America could sort this out in the morning. 100%, they could sort this out in the morning, but they're not going to. Americans will say, well, what the fuck's it got to do with us? Well, it has a lot to do with you, because over the past 75 years, you have been sending Jewish settlers over to Palestine, kicking women and children out of their homes, spitting at Christians and Muslims. So you have allowed this, but now you're going to bury your head in the sand like a fucking ostrich. It's got nothing to do with us. America can sort this out. They don't want to, because the American military complex needs fed, and this is what this is. They're pushing for World War III. I can see it. You think Russia, Ukraine was whenever Joe Biden left all those weapons in the Middle East, I realized that they've armed radical Islamists for a reason. They have more attack helicopters. The Taliban has more attack helicopters than some big militaries on planet Earth. Think about that. And that was all funded by the Americans. And plus, they left a list of all their allies that helped them in the Middle East at the time. And the Taliban has went and executed every single one of the allies to America, which created more hatred. And you had more then support for ISIS and Hamas, because they thought to themselves, hold on, we thought America sorted us out. Now they fucking stabbed us in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to join Hamas, ISIS, the Taliban, all these different Islamic groups, and we're going to fucking take America down. So it's to create war. This is what it is, 100%. They're creating war. They're going to start World War III. So the moral of the story is, how the fuck can Jordan Peterson come out in support of the psychotic Israeli leader when he's just as bad as Hamas? Why even speak about it? It doesn't make sense. So there you go, Garth. There you go. If Jordan Peterson asks me a question tonight, I'll be bringing that to him. Why are you supporting a psychotic leader in the persecution of the Palestinian people? Yes, Hamas is also a radical Islamic organization that does evil things, but so is Israel. For the past 75 years, they have persecuted against Christians and Muslims and have flaunted it in the face of the West. And this has also been promoted by the United States of America. So why would you put out a silly tweet, give him hell, and tag the Israeli prime minister? Why are you choosing sides when both of them are psychotic? That's what I would say to him. But it's probably unlikely that I'm going to get speaking to the guy. Like, good man, Jimmy. Do it's the jihad side of Islam that calls for. Yeah, but where are they getting their funding from, Jimmy? They're getting their funding from America. They're getting their funding from the West. A lot of these jihadis are funded by the West. But you would think, well, why would they do that? Why would they, leave these radical Islamists with billions of dollars of fighting equipment? Because they're gearing them up for war. Pardon me. Do you know what I mean? They're gearing them up for war. That's what it is, 100%. They want World War III. I don't give a like. YouTube will probably take this down. I don't care. Whatever, take it down. It's the truth. He's a very well informed and extremely interesting to listen to, even if you don't agree with everything he says. Well, Jimmy will agree with everything that he says, to be honest with you. He just doesn't speak to a lot of people because of the way he is, because he's an intellectual. A lot of people don't really, want to listen to him because he is like that. Deadly Kitten, I hope you're keeping well. If Trump gets in, then he will need to put more bills in place to protect future of the world. Do you think they're going to tell everything or give power to a man that possibly is only in the job for 4 years? Think about that. Jimmy, if you owned a company, $1 billion company, right? And you relied on me to keep that $1 billion company afloat, you would give me a bigger contract than 4 years. If you trusted me with the job, you would say, well, do you know what, Ronan? We're going to give you a 10-year contract. Debatable. If you want to leave, it's debatable, right? We can hash it out if you want to leave. Okay. America is the free world. They give every 4 to 8 years the ability for the people to vote in a new person. Because of that type of democracy, which is fine, they're not going to give, the deep state aren't going to give all the information on what they do to that person, because it would be counterproductive, because then once they leave, they could blow the lid on everything. They could become a defector. They could become they could work for the other side. You're seeing that with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden has been actively giving China information for the past 8 years. That's why you can't give presidents, they've got some power, but they don't have all the power. They're the reality TV show star. But other than when it comes to making big decisions, they don't make big decisions. BlackRock makes big decisions. They make big decisions. Money talks. Big pharma, Sackler family, big business, they make decisions. %, Arsenal. They want World War III. And there's a shout. People think because big bombs haven't dropped yet in the West. Well, they have. Sure, there's been attacks on There's been attacks. Look at all the attacks that are happening in the streets of England in regards to radical Islam. There's even Muslims in England afraid in some of these high Islamic areas to speak out because they don't want to be targeted, because they're surrounded by a radical form of their own religion, and they see everybody around them as infidels that shouldn't be there. So, look, it is what it is. I would say that we are, if this is the start of World War III, but what are we looking for? We're looking for a nuclear bomb to drop to say, well, okay, you could be getting it. You could be getting, I'll tell you how I know, right? You need to research something called the neutron bomb, right? And the neutron bomb is something that I thought that most governments didn't have, but apparently Israel has it. Now, the neutron bomb isn't as big as an atomic bomb, right? But it's more accurate, and it also uses radiation. Now, I put out a thing in TikTok the other day, and it was basically Israel's doomsday weapon, right? Now, this bomb, this neutron bomb, can blast radiation to a certain area and absolutely decimate the people in the area. And the radiation doesn't last as long as, say, an atomic bomb or a nuclear bomb. Israel has this, and they have this at their disposal, and it can be used whenever there is a threat that Israel will be took over by a tyrannical force. I think they're pushing for that, and I think they're going to do that to Palestine. I think they're going to use a neutron bomb and just incinerate everybody in the area, and at the same time still protecting their own land. I think that's what they're pushing for. And see, once that happens, then World War III will kick off, because then you'll have the Americans, they'll side with Israel. Look what they done to Japan. It was disgusting. Like, so yeah, I think that's what will kick off fully World War III, when Israel uses like the likes of a neutron bomb. Have we look here? Garth, Holden, I totally agree. Leaving all the weapons was part of the plan, in my opinion. Yeah, listen, I know, Garth, I had done a bit of a live stream the other day. I was a wee bit angry because of what was happening to the Palestinians, and the truth wasn't being told. But I always come from the standpoint that I know Hamas is an evil force. I know you should. That's why I said supporting Palestine is not the same as supporting Hamas, because I support the Palestinian people, but I don't support either tyrannical side, whether it be Israeli or Hamas. And I do believe that Joe Biden left those weapons for radical Islamists to obtain, to then feed for what we're seeing now, because the weapons being used against Israel right now are most certainly American weapons that were left in Afghanistan during the pullout. I would bet my house on that. So this is a plan. And it's not Joe Biden that done it, it's the deep state. Joe Biden doesn't have a clue where he is. That guy's going to be in diapers in 2 months, and there's a reason why he's there. They created a whole political divide, put in a whack job Donald Trump, big orange man, big bloated face on him, and arse on him like a fucking cow, right? Like a big heifer. And then he's going to create this divide within the community with these radical leftists. And then we're going to put in an imbecile, Joe Biden, you can't even string a sentence together. Rub it in everybody's face that this is what we're doing, create that much of a shame for America, and at the same time leave radical Islamists, billions of dollars of weapons, so then they can invade Israel, so then they can start World War III. And hence the American military complex is fed, and we have a new war for the next 20 fucking years. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what? Bravo. Bravo. Absolutely fantastic. Do you know what? You have to give credit where credit's due here, right? I know there's a few people commenting on Rumble here. I can't see your comments until after, so I apologize. Bravo to the psychopaths, because that is some bit of work you have done there. Like, that Stalin himself, Genghis Khan himself, Hitler himself couldn't have done a job like that. That is absolutely brilliant. Now you think about it, you have to. It's a work of art too, like the way they've done this. So good job, good job. A round of applause, standing ovation for the fucking psychopaths, because they know what they're doing. If World War III, then no need for money, as there won't be many people here. Depends what you think World War III is. World War III could be, if you look at the Cold War, do you know what I mean? It could be anything. Are we looking for a nuke to drop? Some people could say this is already World War III, because every country's squabbling with each other. 100%, mate. 100%. Yeah, 100%. What's a terrorist? One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. When you demolish Middle Eastern countries for the sake of poppy fields and oil, decimate the fucking country with radical politics, and promote radical Islam into these countries, you're going to create impoverished areas that then will only know one thing: violence. And then fund both sides, fund them. It's the whole classic saying: sell them paracetamols and painkillers, but also sell them the weapons to hurt themselves. So you're making 100% profit. It's absolutely fantastic. Like, I should have been a banker. I should have been a banker. Yeah, he is. He is. Just hopefully I don't. I'm actually hoping if he's getting questions asked, I hope he isn't, because I will say that to him. Do you know what I mean? I picked up a professor on my cab. He said they have bombs that act like microwaves that can destroy life without destroying buildings. That is a neutron bomb. It's a rare form of radioactive waves that can target a certain area instead of, for instance, a nuke that explodes and wipes and decimates miles upon miles of land, and then sometimes you can't go there for 1,000 years until the radiation dies down. Or a neutron bomb, which was, whenever I put this on TikTok, within 3 seconds they took it down. I never said anything bad. I wasn't promoting it. I put a screenshot up of Google and they took it straight down. Their AI system took it straight down. And TikTok's always a good gauge, because what they don't promote on TikTok or what they take down on TikTok normally turns out to be true. And I do believe that the professor that you were speaking to, Jimmy, was correct. And I think that they're going to use something like that in Palestine as a test, because I don't think they've ever tested the neutron bomb. I don't think they've ever tested it fully. They want to probably test it on humans, just like the Americans tested their nukes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, isn't it? That's how you say it. The fat boy and then the smaller one. So, yeah, that's probably what it is. That makes more sense. Psychopaths were ran by psychopaths. Well, these weapons aren't neither. You see, the neutron bomb is created by the greatest minds on planet Earth. Oppenheimer. There's signs everywhere. Oppenheimer comes out. or there's talks of the neutron bomb. Oh man, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Something like that's going to happen. Of course, they'll blame Putin. They blame that man on absolutely everything. Like, it's going to be called the new wave. There was no reason to get rid of Saddam Hussein. The reasons they fabricated to make the war in Iraq turned out not to be true. He had no chemical weapons, so how could Saddam be convinced? Well, yeah, of course, everybody knew that that was a ploy to get in there. There was other reasons why they were there. They needed to get in there to control the oil fields. They needed in there. But Saddam Hussein also done terrible, terrible things. But was it up to the Americans to get involved in that? No. Look at what's the common denominator at all of these leaders getting took out. One, Saddam Hussein wanted to drop the dollar. Colonel Gaddafi, he wanted to drop the dollar. Vladimir Putin has been talking about he wants to drop the dollar. You need to, this scrapes way back um, whenever they went from the gold standard to the Federal Reserve. The gold standard was you could only create as much wealth, as much currency as much gold you had in that country. But then the likes of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they wanted to create a thing called the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was basically loaning out money that didn't exist and then gaining interest on that. Now, you needed a lot of money to start that, and they did because they were billionaires even back then. So they put up the money for it, some of the money, but they loaned out money that didn't exist, and people paid interest on money that didn't exist. Hence, they got money for nothing. And then it was promoted as the American dream. And then that spread out throughout the whole world. And then that's how America became the superpower. And anybody that threatened to drop the dollar was basically took out. Saddam Hussein, Colonel Gaddafi. You're seeing that with Putin now, even though that I disagree with his invasion of Ukraine. But that's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing. If you threaten to drop the dollar, you will be took out. It's just as simple as that. And that's what you've been seeing. Yeah, so that was 20 years ago. It's called the neutron bomb. It uses exactly what he was saying. Sorry about that. I had to connect. Oh, I'm on 5G now. Listen, my phone's heating up. I'm gonna have to go here. But listen, thanks for everybody that tuned in. Remember, if you're watching on Rumble, give this video a little rumble, share it, and subscribe to the channel. It's all free, just like YouTube, except it's freedom of speech. So big up the Rumble. And if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like the video, share it, just share to a friend. And if you haven't already, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And yeah, you can find the link from a Rumble in the description. And if you're on Rumble, subscribe to my YouTube at HoldenOfficial1, all lowercase. My phone's literally heating up here. It's turning red, so I'm going to have to shoot on. I have to save the battery too. So peace out, guys.